Welcome to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast, where we share tips, techniques, and true stories to support you in using the law of attraction and alchemy to create magic and live the life of your dreams. Here's your host, the founder of dailyalchemy.com, Michelle Martin Dobbins.
Hi there, it's Michelle Martin Dobbins from dailyalchemy.com, where we teach you to add magic to the mundane. And if you'd like more help with that, you can go over there to dailyalchemy.com and click on the big, I think it's green, button that says freebies. And it will take you to a page where you can sign up to get some free goodies. And there are lots and lots of goodies there. There are weekly planners. There's an e-kit to help you get your happy back and learn how to process and feel your emotions. There's some lunar planners if you want to work with the cycles of the moon to be more productive. Lots and lots of fun goodies there, all free. So you can get that at dailyalchemy.com, or you can go to the links in the show notes and that will take you straight there too. So on to what we're going to talk about today, our shadows. And I've titled this episode, Say Hello to Your Shadow, because I'm going to guess, and I might be totally wrong. If I'm totally wrong, then you may want to send me a message and help me out. Send me some help too, because I am new to this shadow work. So I said say hello to your shadow because I've put a smiley face on a lot of stuff for a long time. And I'm not necessarily saying that's bad. Positive work and focusing on where we want to go is great. But we all have a shadow. And I feel like definitely in the US, around the world, that some of us really need. And I'm raising my hand here. This is why I'm doing a podcast on this and why I'm starting to broach this. And no, I'm no expert because I've avoided the shadow. Okay, I listened to this Cherokee proverb and it came up in my mind a lot, and I'm going to read it, just a short version. There are lots of versions of this, and you've probably heard it yourself. And I still think it's good, but I also think that there's something that we need to think about. And it's about the battle of the two wolves inside of us. And this is just a really short version, but basically there are two wolves inside of us. One is evil. It is anger, jealousy, greed, resentment, lies, inferiority, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth. Which wolf wins? The one you feed. And I have always followed that, like when those negative emotions came up in me, I would immediately start to turn them to joy. And actually, in the past few years, one of the things that is a freebie is just how to feel those emotions when they come up. And I would try to just drop the story and feel the emotion in my body, which I think is a great place to start, just feeling your emotions without acting on them, without telling a story about why they're there. But I'm thinking about this, and if you've got these two wolves and the one who wins is the one you feed, well, our shadow, the part of us that thinks all those things that we shouldn't think and wants to do all those things that we shouldn't do, if we totally ignore it and we starve it, then either a piece of ourselves dies or we've got this really hungry, angry, ticked off wolf inside of us. And I think many of us have a combination of that. Part of us is really upset that we're being ignored. And sometimes part of us feels like it's dead. And we want to integrate it and make it whole. And as I've said, I'm not an expert at all on shadow work. But I do believe, that when we cast our light on the shadow, when we look at the shadow, when we give the shadow love, that doesn't mean that we say, okay, I'm going to reach out here and do what the shadow wants me to do. No. But I think there is a point in time where we can work with our shadow and it can make some really big changes for us. And I kind of feel like, and this is just my own opinion, that a lot of the stuff that is going on in our world with the violence and discrimination and racism and sexism and all the isms, it's like the shadows are like fighting back. It's like if we don't deal with our shadow, it's going to come out. And all of these things have been here, and I'm not sure that they're getting worse. I think that we're seeing them more. And I believe that that's a good thing because we have to see them to heal them. And that's the same thing as the shadow. So, like I said, this is my thoughts on this, and I am totally open to hearing other people's thoughts. But okay. When I start thinking about shadow work and some of the first places to start, I'm talking about very, very baby steps here. I know there are people who said that shadow work can be dangerous, and that's not the story I choose to tell. And I also choose to take things slowly and just step into them. And I wanted to share with you a few analogies that I've kind of been thinking about as far as shadow work. 'Cause I know, facing shadows, facing darkness can be scary, but I think it needs to be faced. We can't say that it's not there. And we can't say that it's not part of us. It's kind of like when you have those dreams, the nightmares. Do you ever have the scary nightmares where someone's coming after you? I used to have those a lot. And I worked with like lucid dreaming techniques and just like kind of trying to program my dreams. So I finally got to the point where I finally got brave enough to like say, hey, what do you want? And like sometimes the monster chasing me would just kind of sit down and scratch his head like, I don't know. Sometimes they would give me a message, but they were never as scary when I confronted them. And I think that's because in dreams, everybody in the dream is an aspect of yourself. So the monster is probably your shadow self, and it's just trying to get some attention or let you know something that you need to know. And when you're looking at what, because sometimes it's hard to say, like, what is my shadow self? Because we've starved it for so long. But I found that one trick that helps me know what I need to work on is if there is something out there that I'm seeing that makes me really angry or really upset, then there's usually part of that in me. It's triggering me. And that doesn't mean that you wouldn't have righteous anger at someone who abuses children or someone who kills people or someone who is doing hateful, discriminatory things. But there's that difference between that righteous anger and the one that really, really gets you down in the pit of your stomach and you just like nauseous over it. And I think if you go back through your experiences, you'll see that. And someone told me, well, murderers make me really, really angry. Does that mean I have like a desire to murder in me? No, not necessarily, but there's some kind of link there. And a lot of times, like people who get really upset with people who lie or cheat, and then like they find that like in their shadow self, that's a struggle for them. And, we all struggle with things. And looking at the things that make you angry in other people can give you a great starting place to know what you need to heal. So you may want to just sit with some of those things. If something comes up and brings a strong emotion to you that's not really about you, it's somehow about you. So sit with it, think about it. Ask yourself, do some meditation. Why is this bringing up strong emotions in me? And just sit with the emotions and feel them in your body and see what comes up for you. You may get some surprising answers. Other than that, in the meantime, this is what I'm doing is I'm learning because I really feel that this is the next step for me is to dive into looking at my shadow and looking at the parts of myself that I don't want to see. And I think it's going to be a great healing journey. And I will share with you the steps that I take. And I'm going to take baby steps. And so if you're interested in doing some shadow work, you can too. And if you haven't even heard of shadow work, you can do some Googling. And there's a video that I watched that has some really good, nice techniques that aren't scary, that are really just writing out some things, basically kind of on the same plane as I was talking about letting things that bother you and others, and it kind of takes you step by step. And I'll put a link, if I can find it. I think I saved the video in the show notes. But if you start Googling shadow work, beginning shadow work, you'll find out some more about it. But I definitely plan to do some more podcasts on it as I work through it and kind of letting you know the process that's coming up for me. The main thing that I'm doing right now is my first baby step, which is basically saying hello to my shadow. And basically, I've been doing some time sitting there meditating and saying, hey, I know that you're here. I know that I've ignored you. And I want you to know that I know that you're a part of me and I love you. You're not in charge and you don't get to make decisions. But I want to reach out to you. I want to be friends with you. I want us to integrate and be whole. And I'm not going to let you starve. I'm also not going to let you rule me. But I want to know if there are things that I can learn from you. Please share those with me. And then I just kind of get in a nice, quiet, meditative space for a while and see what comes up. And if something does, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's great too. And a lot of times things happen in the world after you do those meditations that start showing you things. And I know this might not be a popular subject, but I think it's time for us to see what we have inside of us, not because it's bad, but because it's there to be healed, to be loved. We all have these shadow aspects, and I think that it's just time. It's time that we address them because the world needs us to. Because I think that if we don't, then the shadow is going to take more and more control in our world. And I want us to learn how to work with our shadows to make our lives better and to make us all feel more connected and stronger. So there are definitely benefits that we can gain from the shadow work. So if you're with me, come on out and say hello to your shadow. As I've said, I'm very, very new to this work, and there's lots of other people that you can learn it from. And I'm not trying to teach you how to do shadow work. I'm just trying to share with you my journey as I just barely started into this. And as I go along, I'm definitely not going to have every podcast about this, but as I'm going through this work, I'll share with you what comes up for me and the resources that I find along the way. And if you have been doing shadow work and you have resources, I would love for you to share them with me, and I will share them with everybody on the website or in future podcasts. So you can go to dailyalchemy.com, and from there you can find me on Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and YouTube. And there's even a little envelope there that you can click and send me an email. Wow. This is a hard subject for me to talk about because I'm always talking about how I add positivity to life. But I have been my eyes have been open to the fact that everything I say, I put a little smiley face on the end, like, oh, okay, is it okay? And this next year, as I'm thinking about 2017 and the changes I want to make, it's to really fully integrate all of myself more and to gain that strength of conviction and doing the right thing for me and feeling connected and helping my planet. But I don't necessarily have to put a smiley face on top of everything I do to try to make everyone pleased with me, because I know there's only so many people who are going to resonate with my message, and that is totally fine. So on that note, I'm going to call this the end for today and just invite you to do a little bit of research, do a little bit of thought on this, and let me know what you think. And as always, create some magic in your world today, and I'll see you next time. Namaste and big hugs. Would you like some help creating more magic in your life? I've got a ton of freebies and goodies for you. They're all tucked away inside my magical freebie vault. You can get free access, though. You just have to go to www.dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. Again, that's dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. And when you get there, you can just plug in your name and email and you will get instant access to all kinds of goodies. There are daily and weekly manifesting planners, the How to Shift Your Vibe in 5 Minutes e-kit that has audios and a workbook. There are moon manifesting planners and daily love lists and money trackers and all kinds of goodies right there. I didn't want to make you have to go to a bunch of different pages and sites and wait for certain freebies to come out. So I just took all of my freebies and put them in one place where you could just sign up one time and download any of them that you want at any time that you needed. So you can just head on over to dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault and download them today. Have a magical day.
Thanks for listening to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast. Connect with me on thedailyalchemy.com or Facebook at facebook.com/Michelle Dobbins, author. Join us next time for even more magical life tips.